What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. Coach Joe here with Heartletics.com. And hands down, I'm already putting this out there. This is going to be one of the best podcast episodes that you guys tune into, hands down, because it's going to change your life. I'm going to be talking all about how I got knocked the F out. Now, before we get started into how I was literally laying down unconscious in the middle of a boxing ring for like 11 minutes straight, waking up, crying my eyes out, not knowing what's going on, not remembering anything, we first need to do a little backtrack, right, into how I got started into boxing, mixed martial arts, how this whole entire thing progressed. But before we start with that, I will happen to say this. I have an ego, okay? I do. I'll be the first one to admit that. I have an ego, and my ego always gets me in trouble. My ego always makes sure that I have like this big head. And for me to come on here and share this is very personal information, right? And for me to share this with you guys, I'm being very vulnerable, right? And I'm uncomfortable right now. Like, I even have notes in front of me, like talking about all this stuff, just because I want to make sure like this is crystal clear that with me stepping outside my comfort zone, hopefully this can change your guys' life as well. So all I ask in return is that if you guys get any value at all at the end of the episode, just to share this on your Facebook page, maybe also share, the Spotify or Apple iTunes, Heartletics Podcast, whatever, on your Instagram story, something like that. Just share this. That's all. That's all I ask in return, because I'm nervous, right? As somebody that's pretty confident as myself, I am nervous talking about this because I'm being very vulnerable, right? So I want to be upfront and honest with you guys, okay? So if you happen to get any value at all, once again, just share this on your Facebook page, share this on your Instagram stories, and make sure you stay to the very end of this, because I do have something special I just want to share. Let's just say it like that. And if you're somebody that has been tuning in for the longest, or has been on the fence and just, something really needs to help you make that push, right? Make that step in the right direction. Trust me, stay until the end of this episode. So remember, this episode is about, it's literally titled, how, I got knocked the F out. And you guys can fill in the blanks, whatever you guys want, right? But that's what we're going to be talking about, and how me getting knocked out and being unconscious in the middle of a boxing ring changed my life. And I'm so blessed that I got knocked out. You're hearing me say that, right? I am grateful that I got knocked out. Grateful. Now, before we get started about, talking about that situation, let's do a little backtrack, right? Let's have some fun. Let's take you guys down the, journey lane. So I went to a private high school, okay, in Cleveland, Ohio. And in my graduating class, there was not a lot. There was like 18, 19, maybe 20 kids, right? Very, very small. And the reason why I'm sharing that with you is because at my time sophomore year, right, I was about 16 years old, yep. I remember me and Josh, we did something stupid. I don't remember what we did, but me and my buddy Josh, we did something and we got in trouble, and we had to clean up the cafeteria after lunch one day. And the dean of the high school was there. And so me and Josh, and here's the thing, the night before, I've never ever once watched a fight before. But you guys remember Spike TV? Remember that Spike TV? On Spike TV, they were playing like these UFC fights. And I remember seeing George St. Pierre versus BJ Penn the first fight. And I've never saw a UFC fight before. So this thing, I'm like a kid in the candy shop, right? Like, my eyes are glued to the TV. And I remember this is the coolest thing ever. So I'm telling Josh all about it, okay? And Josh is like, oh yeah, I've seen a few UFC fights before on TV and etc. And we're just talking. The dean, right, of the private high school that I went to was there in the cafeteria also. And he just really just walks up. He's like, hey, I heard you guys' conversation. Do you guys like that stuff? And we're just like, yeah. We're not knowing anything. We're like, yeah. And he's like, would you guys ever be interested in learning about how to fight? And me and Josh kind of looked at each other like, yeah, sure, I guess. And lo and behold, right, this guy was a mixed martial artist, right? He had a background in Muay Thai, which is like kickboxing. And literally that weekend, we went to his house. We went to his basement. We got the crap beat out of us. It was awesome. We fell in love with it. He had like wrestling mats everywhere, heavy bags in his basement. Like, it was legit. And for the course of the next, year and a half, he coached us literally once a week on like jujitsu, submissions, wrestling, jujitsu, even though I just said that, boxing, right? Kickboxing, everything like that. And he coached us. And, I had my first fight, actually my first couple fights, actually underneath his wing, where it was just literally Josh is my cornerman and, the dean of his, private school as my coach right there. And I'll take you guys a little sidetrack to my first fight. I was literally, in the state of Ohio, you can legally fight at the age of 18. So I remember showing up, and it was in Parma, Ohio, at this huge complex center. And I remember showing up for weigh-ins, and I'm a kid, right? I'm 18 years old. I'm training in this guy's basement. I'm a kid. I'm a baby, right? And the guy who I was fighting, right? My name is, right, Joe Kalari, right? The guy who I was fighting walks into weigh-ins, like sagging his pants, like backpack, had his hat backwards, right? Like looking like a thug and whatnot. He just starts yelling like, "Where's Calamari at? Where's Calamari?" Like calamari, right? Kalari. And he's like, "It's time to eat. I'm hungry. I want some calamari." And I remember like, holy cow, like, what did I sign up for? Like, this is crazy. And yeah, long story short, the dude beat my butt. Like within like, I think 2 minutes of the match, I tried kicking him a few times. He was a jiu-jitsu guy. He was like a purple belt, and I'm like not ever doing anything with jiu-jitsu. And like I barely know maybe 1 or 2 submissions at the time is what I'm trying to say. And he takes me down, TKO, right? Full him out, beats the crap out of me. And I fell in love with it. But you know who also fell in love with it was my brother. Because at that time, remember the last episode I talked about my previous work history, and one of the locations that I worked at was Giant Eagle. My brother worked there also. And I remember me and my brother, he worked in the produce section. Me and him were talking in the back, and he was like, "Dude, I love that stuff. Like, can I do this with you? Like, can we start training? I want to fight." And sure enough, we started training. And it was awesome because me and my brother, we didn't really have the best relationship. We're very, very competitive, right? I can say it like this, right? I'm being honest. We both have very big egos, right? So for us being competitive with big egos, especially being very competitive in sports growing up, we didn't really have the best relationship because we were more of like, hey, I look to my brother as he's better than me, so let me try to be better than him. And we use that to actually be very successful in athletics and whatnot, that competitive nature. But nonetheless, we didn't really have that tight bond, right, that I wish we did. And so when it came time to start competing and training in mixed martial arts and, training with him, I mean, that was us bonding, that we never really had that relationship. And it was awesome. Like, he remembers this. I remember this. We always joke around about it. Like, literally, we were kind of like the Diaz brothers, where we were in our parents' basement on like concrete floor with small little MMA gloves, no mouth guards, just beating the crap out of each other, right? Just having the time of our lives, not really knowing anything about what we're doing, but just trying to win it. And that progressed and everything like that. And here's the thing I'll never forget. My second fight, I won, split decision. And then my third fight, Sammy, my brother, he was on the card with me. It was his very first fight, right? So I was more nervous for Sammy's fight than my own fight that I was fighting that night also. Sammy won by decision. I won by knockout. And it was just one of the best memories I'll ever have with me and my brother, because it was just so cool just seeing the transition, from us really not having the best relationship growing up to us finding something that we can connect with and bond with and build upon and then help each other grow. And like, I always say like this, the people that you surround yourself, they're either going to help you or hurt you in life. You need to pick out who you're surrounding yourself with and make sure that they are trying to better you, right? That's what accountability is 101. So I'm going to take you guys down the fast track, right? We continue to progress, right? We continue to have more fights. Eventually, we went to all these different gyms, right? In Cleveland, Ohio for mixed martial arts. Progress, right? Me and my brother, we did very well, right? Like we knew how to draw in fans, right, for our fights. And I'll never forget that my last MMA fight, training for it, something happened. I don't know. I wasn't like in the area at the time it happened, but my brother got a concussion. And I remember it was the scariest thing to me because he didn't know what happened. And I had to like put on his socks and everything like that. He was just so out of it. And like, we've been doing this for a good amount of time now. I mean, this is like 5 years deep into it, 3 years deep into it. I'm trying to think. I was 21. Yeah, my last MMA fight. Maybe 22. I think 21. Around that time. And so we had a lot of fights, right? And I'm like, man, like what happened? Like I'm trying to put all the pieces together, and I'm so confused because my brother's confused and my brother doesn't know anything, and I've never seen him like that before. Okay. And so I remember like calling my mom because I had to drive Sammy's car because he drove that day to the hospital, and Sammy had to go there, and that was I think it was like either urgent care or the hospital, whatever the case may be. And like that, literally, I just remember sitting in like that waiting room while my brother went in, and I was like waiting for my parents to get there, and I was just praying. Like I was just praying. I was just like, God, like whatever happens, just I hope it's okay. And like if this is literally, I said, I was like, if this is the sign that we're done with this, because my mom did not like us fighting at all. She liked the fact that we had a bond, a relationship, but she hated the fact that we were literally like destroying our bodies and our brains. Totally understandable. I'm a parent now. I get it. And I don't want my son to ever fight, but yet I want him to wrestle and do jujitsu. I think that's a little bit smarter. Anyways, I just remember praying that inside the hospital, and it was just very scary. And that was like right before my last MMA fight. And this was like my last amateur MMA fight. So where potentially if I win, right, I would have went pro and everything like that, right? Remember, one of my dreams was to make it to the UFC one day. And so this is exactly what happened. The guy who I was versing with my last MMA fight, he was undefeated. I went out there. I choked the guy out in 55 seconds. They raised my hand. I remember the announcer asking me like, so are you going to go pro? And I literally told everybody I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Like I want to just go home. And that was it. I remember like my friends like was like, dude, you're usually like the hype man after like, these wins, like, he's like, just what happened? And the passion died, right? That literally seeing what happened to my brother, the passion just died in me. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, plain and simple. And so retired. Like that was it, Now think about it, right? The MMA, the training, everything like that. And me and Sammy, we traveled all over. We did so many different jiu-jitsu tournaments, Muay Thai matches, like, this one out in Dayton that we did. Boxing smokers, like you name it. Like we did this, right? This was our bond. This was our glue. And now there was none of that because I stopped. Sammy stopped, obviously having that concussion. And and also priorities started to come into play. I'm realizing here that, okay, I'm not really falling in love with this anymore. I'm seeing the side effects. I don't really want to continue going down this path. At that time I was also in college, so I wanted to focus on finishing my degree. I didn't want to be living at home anymore. Like I wanted to be, an adult basically. And then fast forward a few months later, right? Finding Allison, eventually getting engaged, married, 2 years later, et cetera, having Oakley. Life got in the way, right? Life kind of came in there, And so during that time also, as I'm transitioning, focusing on adulthood, my brother's focusing on his professional career. Right, he's an amazing strength and conditioning coach down in Florida, and so he actually, progressed to follow his dreams, and that's what actually kind of sparked and led me to doing my own thing also, because I saw my brother just literally pack up and move down to Florida, and just sink or swim mentality, and I love that within anybody. And knowing that I saw my brother do it, it was awesome, right? So fast track now, right now we're catching up to almost, I want to say, let's just say within the last 6 months, right? We'll say it like that. So many years afterwards. So I have a boxing match coming up because I remember flying down to Florida and seeing Sammy, and at the time he was boxing, okay? And I was like, oh, sweet. So me and Sammy hop in the ring and we do a few rounds, and it was awesome. It was like, if you guys ever experience about like, I'm trying to think if you guys ever saw like the Rocky movie where like, let's say Rocky stops fighting, but then he goes back into it, hits the bag one time, he gets the feeling effect, right? Like, oh yes, like, the itch again. That was me and Sammy. So we're like, oh man, let's give it one more go around, right? So like, I flew back over here, right? Started finding a boxing gym, started training. Sammy was training down there because what we wanted to do, which was awesome, right? It would have been great to, hey, he's training, I'm training, and then eventually fight on the same card together. That was our mission. That's what we wanted to do. Everybody, right? When everybody was like, oh, I saw you sparring with Sammy. Everybody was like, that's great. Like, you guys are back to doing this again. Like, we knew you guys were so close. This bond that you guys had. It's great to see this again. And I had my fight. Sammy came up for my fight. I had a fight in December, late December, okay? I lost the match. It was a very close match, but whatever, right? I'm never going to say like, oh, I should have won or yeah, no, right? Accept it as how it is, right? I'm a man. I lost the fight. Here's the thing. I didn't get injured. I didn't get hurt. So the next week, I went back to training, okay? Now here's the plot twist, okay? I went back to training because me and Sammy were actually going to fight on the same card, I believe in February, something like that, like early into the year. So I wanted to make sure I was prepared. And like I said, I didn't get hurt. I didn't, have any injuries from the last match that I did recently. So I'm like, I'll be fine. So I remember specifically, and just so you guys know that's tuning in because you're like, okay, Joe, I just want to hear you get knocked out, Joe. I want to hear how that changed your life. This is where that part's coming up right now. Trust me. So I go to boxing class. Everything's all cool, right? I do the class and I start doing a few rounds afterwards. And there's this new person there, not new person, but person I have not yet seen before. And, we conversated and we decided to go a few rounds. First round, dude beat my butt. And I was like, holy cow. Like immediately what went through my head was, I need to spar with this guy more. Like he's putting it to me. Like he's fast. He hits hard. Like this is a great training partner, right? This is someone that's going to make me better because I'm always like that in anything I do. If I don't know something, I'm going to find somebody that's better than me and more knowledgeable than me in something and have them teach me, right? Like remember, who you surround yourself with, that's where you're going to grow. That's where you're going to take it off. So I'm always trying to be the dumbest person in the room and always trying to find the smartest person in the room and the smartest room, right? Where guess what? I can gain that knowledge. Little tidbit for anybody out there that's trying to be successful in life. Find somebody that already has success in doing what you're doing or has the results that you want or proven they can do that to others and find and mentor or be mentored by that person or coached by that person. That is the fast track to success in anything in life, hands down. Business, fitness, anything. So first round he beats my butt and I'm like telling my coach, I'm like, dude, the dude's like a machine gun out there. He's like, pop, 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 like so fast. And so the second round, I'm starting to get my timing down a little bit more. And I felt really comfortable. Third round, I don't remember what the hell happened. I got knocked out. Right? Like literally, you guys want to know what I remember was this. Waking up on the bleachers, somebody giving me water, and Jerry at the time, my buddy, is like, hey man, like you okay? Like how many fingers am I holding up? And I'm literally like, what the F just happened to me? Where am I? How did I get here? What you literally, if you guys ever been unconscious before, that is the scariest 5 to 10 minutes waking up because you don't know anything. Okay. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. So this is exactly what happened. At least what other people have told me and my coach, right, that, called me, check in the next day. People were worried about me. Apparently I went in, I like doing body shots, like liver shots. I went in for a liver shot, but I did not keep this right hand tucked to my chin. It dropped and the guy just got me great timing with the uppercut, boom, and I fell down. Now here's the thing. I was unconscious for 11 minutes. Right? My coach said I would come in and out of consciousness, snore a little bit, like mumble some words, and then just pass right back out. And I remember asking him, I'm like, so how did I even get out of the ring? He's like, oh, you just got up and walked out like the ring and all that stuff. And then we kind of told it because you want to go home. You want to just drive home and leave. You want to, just whatever. And we're like, hey, dude, Joe, sit down. And then you passed out again. I was like, what? Like, I don't remember anything, like at all. Now, here's the scariest part to all this, okay? Is that even though I got, knocked out, it was the best experience of my life. Because here's the thing. I realized here that I'm not invincible, and I realized here that I'm not promised tomorrow. And I realized here that what matters more to me is having an impact and changing people's lives for leaving a legacy. So hear me out. I could have died, right? Plain and simple. Like there's freak accidents that happen all the time. I could have died. I could have experienced, permanent brain damage, right? And I probably got something going on from all my MMA fights and et cetera, right? But I probably could have suffered something very severe, maybe become a vegetable. I don't know. Maybe I could have, I don't know, like he hit me so hard, like something tweaked in my neck and I'm paralyzed from the waist down. You never know what could happen in your life. But that punch that knocked me out actually woke me up. Because when I woke up, I didn't know anything or anybody. I didn't know my family. I didn't know my son. I didn't know my brother. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know my clients. I didn't know I was a business owner. I didn't know anything. And that right there scares the crap out of me. That right there scares the crap out of me to where I realized here that our time here on earth is finite. You know that money that you're so worried about and you're working so hard for? Well, guess what? They're printing new money every day. Your time here, it's finite. Meaning, one day you're going to die. That's the inevitable. But when you're going to die, you don't know that. I don't know that. Nobody knows that. That could happen after this podcast. That could happen next week. That could happen next year. That could happen in the next 30 years. No one knows that. And that's what's scary to me. So it made me realize here, and this was literally, I got knocked out, boom, done. Everything started to turn, right? Everything. And I'm a firm believer, right, that me getting knocked out was the best thing in the world because I can now use my story to now share to other people the importance of everybody's aspects here on earth. Meaning, okay, I got knocked out. I remember texting my brother right after the knockout and telling him I got knocked out. And he's like, dude, what happened? Et cetera. Like, who knocked you out? I'm like, I don't know anything. I called him, right, on my way home. And he's like, hey, man, so what happened, dude? Are you okay? I'm like, dude, I don't know, et cetera. He's like, well, just so you know, there's going to be a few symptoms, right? You're going to be very emotional and you're going to get sick. And I kid you not, within 5 seconds of him telling me that, I'm bawling my eyes out, literally crying to him, saying like, dude, you're this amazing strength and conditioning coach down there. You're making such an impact in people's lives like Parker, Joe Tess, like all these guys, right? And why are we doing this to ourselves, right? It was the epiphany, right? Like, you already had some concussions. I just experienced my first one. Why are we doing this? We're not getting paid to fight, right? We're getting paid to change people's lives. Why don't we do things a little bit different here? And why don't we grow up and have a better relationship instead of punching each other in the face or other people in the face to embrace that relationship and have that relationship? And it was that epiphany that says, all right, dude, like, listen, I got knocked out and I know for a fact that was supposed to happen. So I can have that conversation crying to my brother, telling him, stop boxing, do something else. And thank God every day he listens to me and he's doing jiu-jitsu now and not boxing. Because once again, by me getting knocked the F out, that woke me up, right? And since that time happened, I doubled, if not tripled down in my business. I hired in more coaches. I literally am nonstop with the podcast, the YouTube, the reels, like everything. Grind. Because I know here, my time on earth is finite. We are not promised tomorrow, and neither are you. When are you going to wake up? When are you going to start caring? When are you going to stop thinking that, hey, you're going to get in shape and you're going to better yourself next week, next year, 5 years, after the holidays? Stop making up these BS excuses for yourself. Man up and wake up. Now, here's the thing, right? I'm gonna say something that's gonna piss a lot of people off and trigger you. If you're fat, lazy, and broke, I do not respect you at all. If you're fat, lazy, and broke, and you're trying to better yourself, I respect you. Here's the reason why. I talked about, waking up after getting knocked out, leaving a legacy. Well, reality is like this. Some of you parents out there, you don't care about what you're doing to yourselves. Some of your parents out there, you might say like, Joe, so you don't respect me because I'm broke? Well, that's pretty mean. That's pretty rude. Like, thanks, man. Well, here's the reality of it. Some of you people out there, and you all know people like this, they'll go spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on Nikes, nice clothes, but yet eat like crap, right? Feed their kids crap, not care about their own personal development, not care about their own health. It's like, all right, stop spending money on shoes. Why don't you do something a little bit more financially responsible? Like go spend a $10, Dave Ramsey course that you can buy on Amazon, a book, and buy Nike stocks instead and become a little bit more financially dependent down the road. And if you're fat, lazy, well, guess what? When are you going to wake up? When are you going to realize here that your time here on earth is finite? You're not promised tomorrow, but here's the reality is, what are the examples that you're leading and setting apart for your kids? When are you going to start caring? Are you going to start caring because of, your bad habits? Maybe one day your kid grows up and they're fat, they get picked on and bullied. Well, guess what? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. That all stemmed from you. Your bad habits because you didn't care about your health. You just told your kids that it's okay for them to not care about themselves because of you and your actions. When are you going to wake up? I got knocked out and was unconscious for 11 minutes, and that woke me the F up. When are you going to start caring? When for you are you going to decide enough's enough? I need to make a change here once and for all. Because at the end of the day, our time here, it's not promised. What are you doing today to lead by example? What are you doing today to help out those around you? What are you doing today to leave a legacy? I talked about that in yesterday's podcast episode. Your character is your destiny. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And at the end of the day, you guys just need to understand this. It's time to wake up. It's time. It doesn't have to be hard. Stop making up excuses. Remember in the beginning, right? I said I had an ego. Some of you guys that's listening to this needs to put the ego out the door and aside and say, listen, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to get results, but I realize here after hearing something and hopefully this, episode triggered something in you, we realize here that today's the day. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year. Today's the day. You don't need to go above and beyond. You don't need to start running marathons. You don't need to start doing burpees and cutting out all your carbs and fasting, all this crap that you think you need to do to better yourself. No. What you need to do is prioritize yourself first and foremost. What does that mean? Maybe wake up 15 minutes earlier and start with a morning routine that's going to better help you focus on self-development and a better mindset. Maybe going for a walk after work instead of sitting around on the couch, drinking beer, eating nachos, watching Netflix, going for a walk with your family is going to be the better option to do. You can always start small, and that's what we encourage all our guys to do. 1% better each and every day is the mentality that we coach at Heartletics. Now, as we're coming up here things and wrapping things up to an end, I want to share with you guys this. There's going to be always two types of people that come on in here and hear something. They're going to be inspired and sparked. Awesome. I'm talking to you right now. Now, if you're somebody that you might hear this and that bad wolf is still selling you like, it was okay. It was an okay podcast. It was an okay episode, but hey, we're okay. We don't need to make a change. Well, guess what? Hopefully something happens in your life, right? Maybe, I don't know, it's the fact that you're being a burden to your kids, meaning the older you get, the heavier you get, the more health problems you're going to get. Guess what? Your kids are going to be dealing with that. Your kids are going to be taking care of you. Stop being a damn burden for your own kids. Wake up. And if you're ready to wake up, you're ready to take action, you're ready to feel inspired, and finally prioritize your life once and for all because you know for a fact that your time here is finite and we are not promised tomorrow. Send me over a message any way you can contact me. Email me at heartletics@gmail.com. Find me on LinkedIn. Find me on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment down below. Whatever you can, right? Instagram, message me. I don't care. If you are somebody that's ready to take action, I want to be that type of person to inspire you and help change your life. I want to give you 4 weeks of coaching absolutely free. 4 weeks of coaching absolutely free because I want to show you that your time here on earth is important. And if you give me 4 weeks to change your life, I promise you that's going to change a lot more people in your life than just you. We're talking your kids. We're talking your family. We're talking your coworkers because you're finally taking action and prioritizing your life. And guess what? When that little spark has been lit inside of you, you start making it possible for other people to see results. You start giving people inspiration, start also making a change. That's the effect. The most valuable currency that you have on this earth is the effect that you have on others, not damn money that they print out every single day. It's your time and how you're using it. If you're ready to level up and take action, send me over a message. Go visit heartletics.com. I got 10 seconds now to finish things up. As always, Thank you for tuning in. And if you guys got any value at all, share this on your Facebook page and Instagram story. Peace out, Girl Scout.